Good evening, I'm Keisha Betts with a CTV News update. The level of violence across the state is unprecedented. That's according to Maryland Senate President Bill Ferguson. Ferguson, Senate Democrats and law enforcement officials announced a major crime reduction package this morning. Targeting ghost guns, one measure would require that all weapons sold in Maryland be serialized.
It seems that everywhere we turn, every which way we go, we find a ghost gun, a gun that we cannot trace, a gun that is readily accessible.
It is now the gun of choice for criminals. It's also the gun of choice for kids. Kids are getting them. Children are buying these guns, probably mostly on the internet, but they're buying these guns and we see the consequences.
Another bill would create a Maryland Gun Center. It would be a one-stop shop to screen guns in the state. Meantime, COVID recovery and fighting violent crime topped the list of Governor Hogan's priorities for 2022. He made the announcement while delivering a virtual State of the State address last night. Also on Hogan's agenda, refunding police and tax relief for military retirees and first responders.
Law enforcement agencies in Maryland and across the nation are struggling to attract and retain qualified officers. There could not possibly be a worse time for anyone to call for defunding the police or for cutting funding for public safety. The reality is that our police are underfunded and under attack, which is why we launched a $500 million Refund the Police initiative to help recruit and retain more quality officers, to increase diversity and expand community policing efforts, to improve training, to teach better de-escalation techniques, and to provide body cams and other technology and equipment upgrades for state and local police departments all across Maryland.
And the historic shortage in parole and probation officers is causing our state to be less safe, as those under judicial supervision often reoffend because this administration has failed to invest in the mechanisms to both hold offenders accountable and provide people on parole and probation with the resources they need to get back on track. And the results have been deadly and devastating. Now, these are elementary core functions of government which have failed under this administration. They've failed you, and they've failed your neighbor.
Gubernatorial candidate Wes Moore quickly responded to Hogan's speech last night. Moore says Hogan's final State of the State is, quote, a clear reminder to Marylanders that help is not on the way in the final months of this administration. The White House says a major leader of ISIS is now dead. The president ordered an overnight special forces raid at a home in Syria. The raid targeted ISIS leader al-Qurayshi. According to the president, the terrorist leader used an explosive device, killing himself and several family members before U.S. Special Forces could capture him.
This operation is testament to America's reach and capability to take out terrorist threats no matter where they try to hide anywhere in the world. I'm determined to protect the American people from terrorist threats, and I'll take decisive action to protect this country. And we'll continue working with our close allies and partners.
There were no American casualties in the raid. Maryland healthcare workers are overwhelmed dealing with staff shortages and the COVID-19 pandemic. There's currently an unprecedented shortage of 3,900 nurses, according to the Maryland Hospital Association. But nurses aren't the only frontline employees experiencing a staggering workforce shortage. Other healthcare workers are also leaving their jobs.
Once COVID started, the pressure just got worse and worse, and the burnout got worse. Pay didn't increase. There was no hazard pay or anything. Things were constantly changing, like the guidelines between the hospital, the state, and the federal government. Nothing was consistent. We had patients that, had cancer or other issues that couldn't get treatments because of COVID. Just all around really depressing, and the work environment wasn't conducive to creating that work-life balance to reduce burnout.
Tomorrow we'll hear more from Gabriella Nowicki as she discusses the impact unvaccinated patients are having on healthcare workers. Here are the latest COVID-19 numbers for our area. The State Health Department has confirmed 2,072 new cases. That's an increase in yesterday's number by more than 700. The positivity rate in Prince George's County has eased downward to 5.51%. 37 Marylanders have died of COVID since yesterday. Meantime, hospitalizations are falling, with more more than 1,400 people being treated. You're watching CTV News. I'm Keisha Batts. Coming up, Washington's NFL franchise is facing questions on Capitol Hill. The story and more after the break.
I am the daughter of one of the men in the study, Freddie Lee Tyson. I'm also the daughter of Johnny Mae Neal Tyson. I have to include my wonderful mother because the two of them was on the journey together. My father had congenital syphilis from his mother. When penicillin became available, the men were denied treatment. There has been a lot of references to the study as to why some people may or may not want to take the vaccine. A lot of misinformation is out there. We have the ability to find out the facts and the opportunity to talk with people who could help us go through the facts and don't deny ourselves the opportunity the men were denied.
Welcome back. The Washington football team fostered a culture of sexual harassment in the workplace. The allegations previously reported were presented to Congress during a roundtable meeting with former workers today. They shared firsthand accounts of harassment of cheerleaders and other women working for the team. Some employees claimed that team owner Dan Snyder abused his power by preying on women in his organization.
Over the years, it became clear that Dan Snyder and his male executives were far too interested in the cheerleaders. Eventually, Dan himself had the final say of who made the team and who got months in the calendar. Unbelievably, he requested binders of photographs for auditions and the calendar so that he could choose who to cut based on looks, not talent. One year, he cut 10 veterans who otherwise would have made the team based on their skill and experience, evidently because they weren't the prettiest in his opinion.
I learned on one specific occasion that when I was asked by my boss to attend a networking event, and to dress cute, it was actually an orchestration by him and Dan Snyder to put me in a compromising sexual situation. I learned that placing me strategically by the owner at a work dinner after this networking event was not for me to discuss business, but to allow him, Dan Snyder, to place his hand on my thigh under the table.
The team has settled lawsuits with some former employees and was fined by the NFL for workplace harassment. As the franchise undergoes scrutiny on Capitol Hill, it's rebranding itself. The team is now known as the Washington Commanders. For head coach Ron Rivera, it's the beginning of a new era.
And now's an opportunity, I think, to establish that we're, starting a new chapter. We're turning the page. We're going to go forward. Hopefully, we can move on from some of the things and situations we've dealt with, and yet at the same time still be able to honor the tradition, the past, the history, the legacies that have been left to us by the championship teams and by the Super Bowl championship team. So I think that's a pretty cool thing, and it's an opportunity for our players as we step into this new phase of our organization and team to build a new legacy. And believe me, that's something that I'm going to harp on with our players, that this is a chance to do that. And probably the best way, obviously, is to win.
After a 2-year wait, Washington announced its new name yesterday. Well, legislation has been introduced in Annapolis that's aimed at tightening the grip on reckless drivers. It's targeting so-called exhibition or speed driving. This is video of events that were staged in Prince George's and Montgomery counties last fall on state, local, and county roads. Advocates say Prince George's police issued more than 2,100 citations in 2020. Supporters of the measure say the events are dangerous and are often organized on social media. Delegate Mary Leerman has sponsored legislation that would investigate ways to clamp down on the activity.
I have a bill that is pending before the Environment and Transportation Committee to get at the speed contests and the exhibition driving. And so my chair, Delegate Barvey, is determined that we figure out more meaningful deterrents for this kind of driving.
Similar legislation was introduced last year but failed to go before the full House. Police have released the name of the man killed in a car crash near Laurel yesterday morning. Investigators say 27-year-old Brandon Graham was killed when his car crossed the center line into oncoming traffic and hit an SUV. The collision occurred in the 10,400 block of Laurel Bowie Road. Anyone who may have witnessed the crash is asked to call police. We now know the name of the teenager who was fatally shot Tuesday night. He's 15-year-old Kareem Wilson Jr. of Greenbelt. City police were called to the 7800 block of Mandan Road just before 9 p.m. for a shooting. When officers arrived, they found Wilson and a 19-year-old male suffering from gunshot wounds. Wilson died at the scene. Anyone with information on the shooting is asked to contact police. Police have released the identity of the man who was shot and left for dead in District Heights. The victim is 24-year-old Nathaniel Hampton of Upper Marlboro. His body was found yesterday just after midnight at the 6500 block of Hillmar Drive. Police discovered Hampton in the driver's seat of a car and was pronounced dead at the scene. Anyone with information on the case is asked to call Crime Solvers. That number is 1-866-411-TIPS. And still ahead on the news, we feature Kitty Paws, a mother-daughter business. Stay with us.
I don't remember how it started. Our back and forth. Victory. Fumble. Repeat. It always came back.
Dad! Okay, here we go, throw it! Yeah.
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Nice.
Thank you for staying with us. Glenn Ivey gets a boost in his bid for a congressional seat. Former Senate Majority Leader Tom Daschle is backing Ivey in the District 4 race. Daschle says Ivey was his chief counsel in the Senate and saw firsthand his commitment to fighting for fairness, decency, and justice. Others running for the District 4 congressional seat include Democrats Jazz Lewis, Donna Edwards, James Curtis, and Angela Angel. More than 70 municipal leaders from across the state are backing Brook Leerman in her bid for Maryland Comptroller. The leaders announced their support virtually this morning. They include College Park Mayor Pro Tem Dennis Mitchell and Tacoma Park Mayor Kate Stewart. Leerman faces Bowie Mayor Tim Adams in the June primary. Looking for ways to improve your self-care? If so, check out a new nail polish line from a Bowie mother-daughter duo. Meet Kendra and Aliana McCarthy. The pair created Kitty Paws last year. The McCarthys sell nail polish collections. Each set contains 4 different colors, including nail stickers. They also have self-care kits for kids called Kitty Crates. Aliana says she loves the business.
What I like most about the business is that we can make nail polish and give it to my friends.
We were out every weekend doing all kinds of activities and visiting with friends and just exploring the whole DMV area. But once all of that came to like a really big halt, I realized that we had to discover new ways to have our mommy and daughter bonding time.
For more information, visit the website on your screen. Well, let's get a quick check on our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight rained throughout the night with evening temps warming up to 57 degrees. Friday, the rain continues with a high near 51 degrees. Saturday, sunny with a high near 32. Sunday, also sunny with a high near 38. And now for the community calendar, take a moment to learn about the rich heritage and history of the Lakeland community. Members of the Lakeland Community Heritage Project are working to collect, preserve, and retell the history of the African-American men and women who created the community. They are seeking photos and memorabilia of Lakeland. If you have any artifacts or stories, you can send them to the email at lakelandhistory@yahoo.com. Also, for a full list of events, visit the website on your screen. And that wraps up our CTV News Update. I'm Keisha Butts. Have a good night.